Hey, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Try Socks. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Vinny. And once again, holy crap, someone called me out for that in our last video talking about Alibaba stock. But, this is interesting. I want to talk about some of the news going on this week with Alibaba stock and how we may see the great Chinese printing press episode of 2024, maybe. Hmm?
Okay.
Hmm?
I
Yeah.
think
I
someone
mean,
should do an analysis on how often you start a video with holy crap. I think that would be
yeah.
interesting. I'm pretty sure
Hey,
it's
it's
like 80%
PG
of videos.
13. I mean, you know what I'm saying? What do you want me to tell you? It's PG 13. Not even, probably. That's like PG. But you remember like this GIF or GIF or however you want to pronounce that
I have no
incorrectly in the
idea.
comments down below. But of Jerome Powell just with the printing press during the pandemic. That's basically what people are taking from this whole Chinese economic stimulus package. A lot of details are still not out there, but we're going to talk about some of the latest news as far as what's going on with the stimulus here. So they did have like a week long holiday where their markets were largely closed. And as we reopened after that, we just see like a pretty significant drop off here in Baba stock, down 6% in the last 5 days. Most of that coming right after the holiday ended.
Hmm.
In context, though, still up 28% in a month.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just this little the dip. It's just the dip beyond dipping. It's nothing crazy here, but people are losing their minds because they haven't been in a stock as volatile as this. And you and I have been around stuff like this for a while.
Yeah. I was getting some comments on Baba and TLT actually of like, oh, it's tanking, it's going down. I think what happens is you see the new value and you get really hyped. So you're like, all right, the new value of Baba is 120, and then it like drops to 110. And you're like, oh my god, I just lost $10 a share.
Yeah,
It's just like zoom out 1 month, you're up $50. I don't
yeah,
know. It's just a
exactly. We were looking in the
correction.
70s not long
Yeah,
ago.
it
You know
can't go
what's
straight
nice
up.
too? I appreciate in your chart because your charts are so much nicer than mine. It kind of looks like all the moving averages are kind of lined up and in appropriate pattern underneath
Yeah,
Alibaba for like hopefully a nice expansionary phase.
yeah. It can't go straight up forever. It's not. That doesn't happen. Even Nvidia during a crazy run, it would shoot up, hang out for a little bit, shoot up, hang out. Normal.
Absolutely. So this is an article from CNBC here talking about like the latest updates on the Chinese economic stimulus. We're going to go through the entire article here, but basically the finance minister actually spoke and talked about how they may even increase their deficit in order to put more stimulus out there into the economy. That's printing press money. That's what that means.
I don't. What's their deficit? I have no idea.
So like a government deficit.
No, no. I know what it. I know what it is. I don't know what their number is.
Oh, I couldn't tell you either.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like the point
Jesus.
is that they're willing to go into debt to
Yeah.
stimulate the economy. I think that's really what like the underlying thing you take from that is. All right.
Yeah.
So literally right here, this first line, saying that breaching that the central government has room to increase debt and the deficit, so that they're willing to borrow to stimulate the economy. This is the American, tax and spend sort of mentality here almost.
Which is not going well now, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. Emphasize that the space for deficit increase is rather large. They didn't give a number here, just rather large that they're willing to back that printing press up to the truck and just let it fly. Multiple policies are still under discussion. All right. Economists have insisted that China needs additional fiscal support, but Beijing has yet to announce any. All right. So they are definitely, many people have been calling for more stimulus to the Chinese economy. And although it seems like they're progressing that way, nothing definitive has really come as far as an actual direct like cash stimulus. They've lowered the reserve ratio, a lot of stuff, which is a lot of accommodative monetary policy, but no like direct injection of cash for the most part is what they're trying to say here. Um, and he signaled that the weekend briefing was not the end, that more stimulus is on the way. So they're predicting that there are going to be future episodes of stimulus, and that they're going to be waiting for what could be in the near future. It remains unclear whether the size of any such stimulus would meet market expectations or will go directly towards consumer consumption or real estate. So they're not really sure which forms it's going to come in.
I
All right.
mean, theoretically, probably a good amount of real estate because that's what their economy is based off of. So I would assume a large chunk of that's going there.
Yeah, yeah. There's a nice chart that I have in here at the end about how important real estate is compared to stocks for the Chinese economy. Um, policies headed the right direction, and that the chief economist for Pinpoint Asset Management said, added that more detail is needed. All right, and such policies on the macro outlook. This will be the focus of the market in the coming months. All right, so this isn't going to be just a one and done. They announced some stimulus and everything's over and done with. We're going to need to keep tracking this over the next several months in terms of what form this is going to take. All right. The finance ministry outlined on Saturday policy measures focused on addressing local government debt problems, stabilizing real estate, and supporting employment. Right? On the real estate, and the finance ministry will allow governments to use special bonds for land purchases, allow affordable housing subsidies to be used for existing home inventory, and instead of new construction. And according to the vice minister of finance, Liao Ning, I don't know, of the most recent press conference regarding Chinese economic stimulus.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Added that authorities were considering plans to reduce real estate related taxes. He did not name specific figures and supporting real estate multiple policies. In a special meeting in September, Xi Jinping had called for strengthening monetary policy and fiscal support, but it did not outlay details. So we still are getting slowly piecemeal, bits and portions of the stimulus, but we're not getting the whole overarching picture. It's a very much an evolving, moving target. This is how much fiscal stimulus people are asking for.
So that looks like the highlight of this. So they have no idea how much, but 2 trillion to more than 10 trillion, which is quite the range.
Yeah, it is quite a broad range, and this is just what the analysts are looking for. This is not what they're actually putting out there as of yet. Right?
Okay.
And then you have another economist, China economist here, talking about how in a note Thursday that such stimulus would typically need approval by China's parliament. All right. And they're expected to hold a meeting later this month. So we have a little bit of time before that. And how many funds are used and important as to what amount that's delivered, whether they go to shoring up struggling government finances or boosting the consumption. So we don't know what form will come in. We expect to get a better clarity on the ultimate overall stimulus size and where it's going to be targeted later on this month.
Sweet.
Right. So, these are some of the reasons why they're trying to stimulate their economy right now. So retail sales, not so great the last few months. We have obviously that big issue with youth unemployment as well. They did have GDP growth of 5% the first half of this year, but I'm suspecting that this number, this GDP for the third quarter, when it comes out October 18th, is not going to be great. And I think that right there is going to be a interesting day to watch the Chinese stocks, right? It's coming up. It's only a few days from now. But if they come out and they report a number that's much below their target, it would make sense why they all of a sudden the talk was all this stimulus stuff coming out, because the government largely probably knows what that GDP number is before they're going to announce it.
They
I think that's what they're trying to do here is forerun it.
Yeah. So basically, it's likely that number on October 18th not going to be great, and they're kind of already trying to shore up the situation by already saying we already have stimulus planned. That's a good idea, assuming that number's bad, which it would make sense if it was.
Exactly. The real question is this going to act like the U.S. economy or U.S. stock market a little bit, where the worse the number is, the more the market rises because they're anticipating this larger and larger stimulus, right? What do you think? How is the relationship going to be? Is it going to be inverse like that, or not so much?
Yeah, because the worse it is, the more money they would inject. So weirdly enough, I would say that's probably accurate. The stock market's always very, very weird with that. When it comes out all right, inflation is going down, so we're expecting a rate cut, so then stocks go up. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
Exactly, and this isn't a entirely unrealistic take, but you have another economist here talking about how it would be reasonable and practical to keep some dry powder in the event of unexpected stock shocks, that we may see a pretty dramatic shift in the next couple of months in terms of what news is announced regarding different aspects of the stimulus, particularly that October 18th date. I think will be a rather eventful one. All right.
Sweet.
Some of the other tidbits from this article talking about how that week-long holiday where everything was closed, and that as we kind of reemerged, that's when we saw the declines. Right? The client took major indexes back to levels seen in late September. Right, so still significantly above where their kind of low was, but it took a little bit of the top off of that. and that the Chinese government was finally stepping in to stimulate growth. That's just reiterating something we've already talked about. And a lot of this kind of is prompted right after the Federal Reserve had made their pivot, allowing the Chinese government to be able to do theirs. Stimulatory kind of effects here without having a dramatic shift in the currency exchange. It's actually not something I've looked at. I don't know if you've followed
Mm,
it at all, but
nope,
yeah,
no idea. I'm more
yeah.
confused in the last sentence where it says Saturday is a working day in China, but markets are closed. I don't know what
I
that
know, I know.
means.
I threw that on there. It's like a little yellow flag. I thought it was just funny. I think the point of putting that line in here by CNBC was trying to say that this isn't like an all doom end of like the world Saturday stimulus meeting. This is just a normal working day for them.
So, do they have? Wait, what is that? Do they have 1 day weekends? I don't know anything about China like that. I don't know anything.
Yeah,
I wonder if
yeah.
someone
We
can
talked
answer
about
that.
that
I'm confused.
at one point about talking about Alibaba. How oh god, there's like a is it the 6/12 work week or something like that. Like they're expected to work like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, something like that. There's like actually a cultural thing about like how many days per week and how many hours per day that they're expected to work.
I hope someone in the comments can shed some light on this because if that's true, that sucks. I'm not gonna ever
Yeah.
complain about my life again. It does not sound fun to
Well,
me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just you invest in these people. You invest in these people that are working on Saturdays because it's a normal working day for them.
Oh
Um,
God.
the other thing I just really want to mention here too is this: People's Bank of China launched a $71 billion program allowing institutional investors to borrow funds for stock investing. That stock investing is not thought of the same way in the Chinese kind of citizenry as it is in the U.S. It's definitely a much more niche opportunity,
Hmm.
but it seems like this wave of stock, kind of gains has encouraged a lot of people to get in. There was another article I read, I didn't include any snippets from it, but talking about how many more people were trying to open accounts, particularly amongst Chinese youth, how many people were looking for beginning investing advice, that a lot of Chinese kind of youth were getting really excited about investing in the markets, which could be awesome long term if you see like that shift in sentiment away from real estate.
Yeah.
So,
So this is the graph.
yep,
This is what you're saying because essentially, if you have the youth of China who are saying, "Hey, we want to go into more stocks," you're going to have a large injection of
mhm,
cash, and it's sitting at such a low percentage of household allocation.
yeah, exactly. So you're talking about only 4% of Chinese household wealth is invested
Jeez.
in stocks in China. Compare that to the 23% here for the U.S. It's a significant portion of like our net worth as a country, but not for them. But you might be seeing the beginnings of the turning of the tide as far as that goes, and that it could be future waves of young Chinese citizens being interested in investing in stocks, which would be fantastic in the long run to watch. Valuation kind of multiples increase over time, particularly if the economy starts growing as well. So then you have two things kind of behind you.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be
Yeah,
great. We'll see what happens October 18th, guys.
October 18th. Mark it on your calendars. Catch you
All right,
next one.
dudes.